Hello and welcome. This is Faceless Opinion, and Skyrim month has come early this year. Welcome you back to another video. So, Death Battle just released a new video that I find rather interesting, which pits the chosen undead from Dark Souls against the Last Dragonborn from Skyrim. Now, since I am a Skyrim aficionado, I've made countless number of videos on the subject talking about that game. I had to see what Death Battle was going to say and do with this. Granted, when I first heard that this was going to be the next matchup, I was rather apprehensive about it, since scaling characters like the Dragonborn and Chosen Undead is going to be rather tricky, since they are RPG characters and their powers, weapons, abilities, and feats are all dependent on the player. And this is something that Death Battle openly stated at the start, and that they were going to maximize them to their highest potential, making them at their absolute strongest. Which makes sense and do agree with, even though I'm not the biggest fan when Death Battle composites a character's power, but in this current instance, it is acceptable. When it comes to the fight and the episode itself, it was better than I thought it was going to be. Spoiler warning, truth be told, I was not expecting the Dragonborn to win. I was pleasantly surprised by the result. Though, with all that said, I do have some issues, particularly on how they were analyzing the Dragonborn, ranging from nitpicks to inaccuracies, which will be the main thesis of this video. I'm not going to talk about the Chosen Undead, mainly because I have never played Dark Souls and literally know nothing about it. Cue in shock gasps now. So, there is no point in me talking about the Chosen Undead. Now, with that out of the way, let me talk about some of the things I have issues with. Our first mistake takes place when they show a list of the Dragonborn's abilities, saying that the Dragonborn has immortality. With the number of times I've played this game, and let me tell you, the Dragonborn is not immortal, unless they're a vampire lord, but even then, the immortality of a vampire lord and the immortality of the Chosen Undead are completely different. The Chosen Undead can come back to life after being killed. A vampire lord cannot. Case in point, Harken. However, they never go into detail about it. As a matter of fact, it's not even mentioned whatsoever. During the results segment, where they compare the strengths and weaknesses of both combatants, it's explicitly stated that your Dragonborn can only die once, which is a blatant contradiction to what they showed earlier. So, which is it? Is the Dragonborn immortal or not? Now, when talking about some of the Dragonborn's weapons, they mention some of the Daedric artifacts and some noteworthy equipment, like the Wabbajack, Dawnbreaker, and Ariel's bow, which makes sense since they are incredibly powerful weapons. However, only one weapon is used for this, and that would be Dawnbreaker. Now, you honestly can't use every single weapon that the Dragonborn is going to have access to. It's not feasibly possible. However, it is rather disappointing not to see any of the other Daedric artifacts being used. While for Ariel's bow, I didn't like the description they gave for it, as the only thing they mention about it is that its arrows can be used to block out the sun. Which is true, but that is with blood-cursed arrows, and that is only one of its abilities. If you fire a sun-hallowed arrow at the sun, it will result in the sun raining down solar flares that can wipe out enemies. Not to mention, the bow not being used on the sun itself is a dangerous weapon, as getting hit by that gives you sun damage, which I would say is a lot more powerful compared to a basic fire enchantment. I feel like they only mentioned the bow to talk about the feats surrounding it, and it is an impressive feat, but the bow itself is also impressive.
Especially powerful mage because their mana recovers itself automatically over time. They'll never truly run out of firepower.
While it is true that magicka does regenerate over time, the way that Wiz phrased that made it come off as the Dragonborn will never run out of magicka since it's constantly regenerating. And that is completely false. Unless you are able to increase your magicka pool, reduce the cost for spells, and improve your regen rate, properly optimizing a magic build. Besides, you can just take some potions to replenish your magicka bar. I highly doubt that would be considered illegal, though personally I don't believe that the magicka regeneration makes that much of a difference in this matchup, as there aren't that many spells that would be helpful in this situation. It was always going to boil down to who had the better martial skills than magical skills, at least from my perspective. The same thing will also go for the werewolf and vampire lord transformations. They are powerful abilities, but those forms would hinder and restrict the Dragonborn more than help them in this fight, which is why I think they weren't mentioned in any capacity or shown. Now, when talking about the shouts, it is going to be in the same vein when it comes to the weapons and equipment used. and can't showcase every shout, which makes sense since some shouts are non-combative and would not be helpful in this fight, like Aura Whisper and Dragon Rend, so I don't know why they were on the shout list they had up. It is also irksome that they have Dragon aspect on the list and don't talk about it or show it being used in the actual death battle, which is ridiculous to me since this is practically a power amp that increases the power of shouts, attack damage, and bolster defense as well. Why was this not showcased? You can make the argument that other shouts could have been used as well, but the biggest tragedy is the lack of Dragon aspect. It is baffling. Though something that I also find baffling is why were they mentioning that the Dragonborn can summon Odahviing as an ally? I'm sorry, but that is not impressive since Odahviing is not that powerful. He's not even in the top 3 for most powerful dragons. If anything, Durnavir would have been a better candidate than Odahviing since A, he has more power in shouts compared to Odahviing, B, he can do magic, and C, he can't die. Well, he can, but he can bring himself back to life, which is more than I can say to Odahviing. Odahviing is not impressive. He easily gets his cheeks clapped by Alduin, Durnavir, and Parfanax. Odahviing, at best, is mid.
Jesus at once, my dream!
Assuming these abnormally large cheese wheels have an average weight of 70 pounds, we can determine that the Dragonborn can carry up to 10,500 pounds of cheese.
Yes, I am discussing the cheese wheels. Where the hell did you get the weight of 70 pounds for that cheese? You literally showed on screen a few seconds ago that the cheese wheel weighs 2 pounds. And as a result, your math is wrong. 150 cheese wheels times its proper number is 300 pounds, not 5 tons. Though if you want to calculate that, the number of cheese wheels needed to match that weight, it would be, let me get my calculator, 5,250 cheese wheels. Clearly, this is meant to be a joke, but this angers me more than anything else. Let's just move on. Now we get to the proper feats of the Dragonborn, or the ones that they put up. Some of them I do agree with and should be up there, like defeating the likes of Alduin, Mirak, Potema, and the Ebony Warrior, or being able to read one of the Elder Scrolls. Some I wouldn't put on the list, but I wouldn't complain about their inclusion, such as escaping Sid in a mine or curing Pelagius the Mad. Then we have those that are, why is this even on the list, like catching Calixto, pranking people with Sanguine, and reuniting Ruki and Fenring. Those are literally nothing. Calixto is not a threat and not worth mentioning. Sanguine, as cool as he is and as fun as his quest is, this should not be on here. Ruki and Fenring, why did you pick one of the most obscure side quests and add that to the list? I'm pretty sure no one knows who they are or what quest they came from, and I literally made a video talking about that quest in particular, and I didn't even remember until I looked it up. If anything, the feats that I felt like that should be mentioned would be things like becoming the leader of any of the factions, becoming the champion for any of the Daedric princes, killing the Emperor, becoming Thane of Whiterun, capturing Odahviing in Dragon's Reach, or having to beat Zune in a fist fight. For those who don't know who that is, he is the big guy that guards the Mead Hall in Sovereign Guard. Imagine if St. Peter got swole and became Heaven's Bouncer. Any of those would be more impressive than what we got. Though there is one feat that they did mention that I do want to talk about a little bit more.
Move that much land over the course of their fight, Mirak's magical prowess must have output an energy over 300 teratons of TNT.
I am glad that they mentioned this feat, since this is a good one worth mentioning, in which Mirak was able to break the island of Solstheim away from mainland Skyrim. However, there are 2 caveats to this that Wiz and Boomstick did not mention. Number 1 being that Mirak did not do this feat alone. To give context, Mirak was having a fight with his fellow dragon priest Valak the Jailer, and it is alleged that their fight broke off the island, and that Mirak should not really get sole credit for it, like they gave him. And number 2 being that you can make the argument that after this feat, Mirak got stronger, since after his fight, Hermaeus Mora, the Daedric Prince of Knowledge, brought Mirak back into his realm of Apocrypha, and taught him a wide range of techniques and powers. So it wouldn't be that far-fetched to assume that Mirak would scale up from that, and make him powerful when the Dragonborn faces off with him during the Dragonborn DLC, though keep in mind that both of those points I mentioned are speculation, and it's up to your interpretation. Depending on how you view this, you can make the argument that Death Battle either lowballed or highballed Mirak. I don't know how you pull that off at the same time, but they did that. And with that, I feel like I don't have anything else to say. With all the issues I had with it aside, I thought it was a good episode. The fight itself was good. I liked all the jokes they had in it. I loved the fight track for it. I'm going to link both the episode and the music for it in the description so you can check it out. Though, between you and me, I can't wait until we get the Alex Mercer versus Cole McGrath fight. And believe me when I say that I am going to make a video about it whenever it comes out. Now, tell me, what do you think? What do you think of the matchup? Who do you think should have won? What feat do you think should have been mentioned for the Dragonborn? Do you know which quest that Rookie and Fenring come from? Should I make a video trying to power scale the Dragonborn? Tell me in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe. Until next time, I will catch you all on the flip side.